Hello, welcome back to the channel, and it's a grain to glass video. So the actual brew day video is coming up now, but there's already a video out for just the brew day, and this is the, well, you see in the thumbnail, this is going to be the Punk IPA, the 2010 version, which, to be honest, when I did research, I mean, I got it out the it's in this book. The recipe, go check that out if you want to check that out. The recipe is also being the actual brew day when that's coming up in a minute. But I just added a couple of extra hops that weren't sort of mentioned in the book. But when I did a bit of research, the BrewDog more modern beer, the Punk, they mentioned hops. They're not even in that book. So it's a bit like, you know, it's not true to the actual modern Punk now, and to be honest, I've had the beer and it isn't like the Punk you buy in a shop. No, it's not like that. It's definitely got different flavours. It looks different. What amazed me about this one is ultra pale malts and a little bit of Carapils malt was in there, and like I say, that'll all be coming up. So you go and watch that, and I'll get ready to pour the Punk 2010 so you can have a look at it.
Hello, welcome back to the channel, and it's another brew day, and this one is following on from the last one, and I'm going to do the Punk IPA 2010 to present edition. Now, it's in the book, but this one is going to be a target of 5.6%, you can see there, and I don't believe that is right to the current Punk IPA. Also, I'm going to be adding some Citra and Mosaic to this one, because I do believe they've used Citra and Mosaic now as well, rather than all them, but I have got all of them in. So this is going to be 8 hops. Yep, a lot of hops. So going off their recipe, but just adding a Mosaic and Citra, scaled it down to my scale. Got my yeast there. My hops, 60, 30, Whirlpool, and it's going to have a big dry hop as well. So yeah, so it's going to be basically that with some added hops, which they keep mentioning, but it's going to be target 5.6, like I say, and I believe it's now 5.4. I'll still do a side-by-side taste test though, just for the fun, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. I'll crack on. I'll get these grains in the mill, get them crushed, and get the process started. That's my grains crushed. I noticed I've never said it's going to be basically pale, extra pale malt and a little bit of Cara malt in this, and the hops are what's the same is Attendam Chinook, and then we have got Nelson Sauvin, Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic, Cascade and Amarillo going into this. Hopefully my recipe's on the screen anyway, so you can see that with all the percentages. And I'm going to go for the yeast. I made a starter. It's a BRY yeast. Yeah, and then just some saltwater additions, but nicely crushed fine grain there for the brew in the bag. Okay, strike water reached 69 for a 66 mash. So we're doing a 75-minute mash, 66 centigrade, and just getting all them grains in the bag. Do me normal, get it covered up using an old hoodie, some towels, and I'll come back 75 minutes and get it up to boil temp. Before I do the boil, get it up to the boil, I've got to get my salts in. My salt addition is just some gypsum, and calcium chloride. Got my sample to do my pH, so I'll check that in about 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go with that because I probably will lose about a temp over the next 75 minutes. So 66 for the mash. Okay, so we're at the mash, that's done, 75 minutes. So I just need to get the bag out, strain all the wort out of the bag. I'll put on screen now, when I talk about brew the bag, hopefully a little bit of information comes up on the screen now. But basically it's like a big straining bag. All your malt goes in, you get all your water in there, and then you just, well, let's see if it explains it on the screen. So the next stage now is to get the wort up to a boil, get the hop break, and then start adding my hops. Okay, so you can see I've got 1044, which is actually bang on target for the pre-boil gravity, so I'm chuffed with that. So there we go, we're at the boil. Hop break now, get all them proteins breaking there, and then we'll start with the first edition of hops, which is Chinook and Atenum at 60 minutes, and then there's a 30-minute break until the next edition. You can stir this in if you want, just take a big spoon, they'll just drop to the bottom of the kettle. So there we go, Atenum Chinook hops going in 60 minutes. Okay, 30-minute addition, Atenum and Chinook for flavouring. Okay, so 60-minute boil complete. Flame out. What I'm going to do now is a hop stand after the whirlpool, basically get it down to about 80 degrees, add the hop stand hops, and then leave it for 30 minutes before I put it in the cooling pan and then into the fermenter. So off the heat, I'm going to basically start stirring it to cool it down, but what I need to do is get a sample just into my jar, very small sample, just to see what my original gravity is going to be. So all I've got to do is start, put my thermometer in. You can't see it because of my daft big hands, but basically start to just stir it around. You can see all the cooling loss, that steam coming off. Cool it down, and then I'll be adding them hops. Okay, I've hit the 80°C, so right temperature, just trying to get a bit of a whirlpool. Then they're going to add the whirlpool hops, which is Atenum, Chinook, Nelson Sauvin and Simcoe. And what this will have as well, it's going to have a dry hop, which obviously is not on the brew day, but it says to leave that for 5 days. I think I'm going to go for about 3. Just again, just adjusting it slightly off that recipe in the book. So I'll go a 3-day dry hop with this. Like I say, that's going to have in the dry hop Atenum, Chinook, Nelson Sauvin, Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic, Cascade, and Amarillo. So let's get this whirlpool going now. And I'll drop the whirlpool hops in. Put a lid on it, 30-minute stand. I'll take that. Original gravity 1054, target was 1053, so just 1 point above. So I'm on target really, hopefully for a 5.6 Punk IPA. Cooling pan is, well, boiled the water in there, sanitised, got my straining bag from the tube from the kettle to the cooling pan just to filter out any debris, and then I can get cooling. Not really much to see here, but this is the wort now after the 30-minute stand. I'm going to send that now to the cooling pan. So as you can see there, that's my kettle, that's the tube. All I've got to do, release this, and then what you can see now is the filter bag and the tube and the wort going into the cooling pan for me. So what you can see there is all the protein and hops that have been left in the kettle. Normally I lose about 1.6 litres here. That's my calculations for the boil. What's normally left over here. I'll put that into a jug and I'll show you what that looks like in the jug. Just to show you that that is what my filter bag does at the end of that tube. When I'm transferring to the cooling pan, it just stops all that protein and hop matter going in to the cooling process, to be honest. There we go. Bottles of ice, cooling pan in the sink, get it cooling to pitching temp. So this is the jug. So this is the proteins and hops after the boil and after you've done your pot stand. So you can see that's what it looks like. So yeah, that's the loss. Okay, so transferring the cooled down wort now, pitching temperature, into the little King Keg mini pressure keg fermenter thing. I'm going to pressure ferment about 2 psi. Nothing drastic on this because I want to try and keep some of them hop aromas and esters in it. So all going in, then I'll put the yeast in. Pitching the yeast, put the lid on, put a little bit of pressure on it, then leave it to ferment for 2 weeks, about 19 Celsius. So, don't know if you can hear that, but there's some CO2 escaping here at the end, because what I've done, I put some head pressure in there, and what I'm going to do now is reduce that head pressure to get it down to about 2 psi, if that will focus. Probably about the best I'm going to get there. So I'm trying to get it down to 2 psi, so I just need to undo that tap at the back and reduce it. Okay, I'm happy with that. We're getting down there now. So there it is. So sitting there now for 2 weeks. I dry hop it once the fermentation's finished. Give it 3 days on the dry hop. Then get it into another keg and get it carbonated. So there you go. So I did dry hop it. So I didn't video the dry hop. I don't remember videoing the dry hop anyway. And that's where I brought in Mosaic and Citra into the dry hop process, because that wasn't in their book, but it was in their most recent interviews and stuff. So this is my fridges are behind me, so I've got my little picnic tap going on. It's on CO2, so let's go get it pouring. It's quite, I have it my CO2 quite low, so it doesn't run out. You can just see there it's just pouring out, and you can see how lightly coloured it is as well. It's really pale. I just I'm spilling it as well now. I'm trying to build up a little bit of body there. Get this pouring in. Move it back here. So we've got this Punk glass from years ago when Punk was quite good, to be honest with you. So beer going in. Keep going. Get it to the top. And there we go. Right. So beer in a glass. It's got a slight haze going on.
very, very slight haze going on there. It's got a nice looking head. It looks all right. It looks all right. It's not, like I say, it's not my recipe. It's the BrewDog craft beer book recipe. Aroma. It's definitely got hints of tropical fruits there, and it's got a little bit of grapefruit on the nose. It's okay on the nose. It's not bad. It's not bad. Let's go straight in for the taste. It's got a nice, nice white creamy looking head, which is fantastic. Let's go straight in for the taste. Cheers. It's drinkable. It's okay. It's nice. It's nice, but I wouldn't brew it again. It's not one I'd brew again. I think because the amount of hoppage that's going on there, I think it all got a bit conflicting. You know, sometimes less is more. You pulling out, because it does get a little bit confusing on the palate, the different flavours that are coming out there. It's an okay beer. I mean, it's turned out, it looks okay. That's the point. The carbonation looks fine. It's a bit cold, but yeah, it's okay. Would I brew it again? Definitely not. I don't think I'd waste my time brewing it again, because I don't like it enough to want to brew it again. Is it better than Punk in the shops? No. For me it is, because there's more flavour going on there. There's definitely more flavour. But you need to keep your eye out for the Punk 2007 version, because that's interesting. But for this, it's okay. Hopefully the recipe's gone up on the actual brew day. Like I say, the only things I really changed was I added Citra and Mosaic into the dry hop. Everything else was the same, but we went with the American Lalleman's dry yeast on this one. I made a little starter for it. Came out at 5.6%, which was good. Finishing gravity was 1010, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, it's, you know, like I say, carbonated it in the keg. Yeah, I've not wasted my money. I haven't wasted my money, because it's an interesting thing to do, but I'm glad I've done it. I did actually do a live stream with Simo and Craig, and David Wilson was in the comments, and yeah, I just wasn't overly impressed with this as a brew. I really wasn't. I think I could build a better recipe myself, and you know, I just find that a little bit more interesting to do. But there you go. So BrewDog, from grain to glass, from the book. If you like the modern BrewDog, give it a go, but maybe do a bit more research about the hops that are in the modern BrewDog now, and yeah, just give it a go. Not a lot more to say about that, apart from cheers, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much.